What's up, everyone? Great to be back with you. Sorry, I've been lacking in my content that I'm putting out. I did so much before the election there. Those of you know that I switched jobs. Selling life insurance is not going the greatest right now, so I'm trying to work really hard. Also been doing a second job, escort driving, which is why I'm in a different vehicle right now. I got done with that, and actually have a medical appointment with my baby that'll be coming in January, baby Hank. So yeah, it's been a good day for me. So had a little extra time before my wife gets off work as I'm driving over to meet her. So I thought I would do a little stream because I miss you all, and hopefully you miss me, about kind of the election interference and just what's been going on. So let me know if you are having trouble hearing me. I'll try to speak up. This car, the phone is kept further away from me than in my car, so I don't know if the audio will be as good. But, all right, so I want to talk about election, the stealing of the election. Now, one of the things that I think I need to make more clear than I have been is exactly how this election was stolen. One of the things I think that I'm good at doing, and maybe it's just me, I'm biased, I'm me after all, but I think that I learned this through my time in debate. When you're trying to argue or to convince people of things, you want to go through the path of least resistance. So let me give you an example. If we're talking about illegal immigration, for example. Now, to most people, you would be willing to hear how illegal immigration could affect things negatively or positively through any population. So you wouldn't care necessarily, well, it only affects people that look like me or have a similar economic situation as me. You would say, does it negatively or positively affect the country as a whole? And you would be able to take the negatives and positives to each group of people. Unfortunately, because so many people on the left play identity politics, that's not going to be persuasive to them. So for example, if I make the argument illegal immigration could be a net deficit to places like me in rural Pennsylvania, many of them would say, who cares? You're in flyover country. You're 10-tooth rubes. You're horrible people. You're white people. You have privilege. Things like that. They don't care. So what? You're citizens of the United States. The United States is a bad place. It was founded on slavery. They owe people things. Now, that's obviously a horrible way of viewing the world. But you have to understand that not everyone who leans down that path is a bad person. Many of them have just been persuaded as such because the left, and primarily globalists and progressives, have won the culture war and they control the flow of information. So people believe this stuff. So instead, one of the ways you may persuade them is to say, look, 1/3 of women, according to organizations like Amnesty International, that are trying to illegally cross the border are victims of sexual assault. So if you're encouraging a system where we decriminalize illegally crossing the border, you're making it so more and more women will be sexually assaulted. Or you could say, do you know that the people who they compete with illegal immigrants, primarily black communities? And so we could argue of whether or not the economic viability of, yes, there will be corporation benefit by having cheap labor from illegal immigrants. But the people that they're competing with are the very people that those on the left claim to care about. And so forth. In that vein, I want to talk about election interference. Yes, I understand. Look, I've said from the get-go, I said this election would be stolen. I said as soon as it was stolen, I said I think there is substantial questions about fraud that occurred the day of the election. I still think there are substantial questions. However, there are certain things, and I also said that I do not feel that will overturn an election. That's been I can't speak to the validity of hundreds of people that signed affidavits. I don't know. I think that we certainly should say that that's evidence, that we should hear those people out. If we were willing to spy on Trump based on the words of people like Peter Strzok, who didn't even sign an affidavit, then why would we be unwilling to allege that it seems quite strange, a lot of stuff that went on, and I think than any agency has done for this country, such as the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, etc. So I'm willing to hear her out. But I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of like, I'm not saying, oh, that's it, she's definitively proved it to me. I don't trust anything without evidence I can see. I'm also not going to say I don't believe her. So I'm just waiting to see what happens. I still think even if she has the goods, the courts won't overturn it. That's just my feelings. However, in the vein of what I was talking about with illegal immigration, here's the point that I've been making that I now see people coming around to, which we should have been doing all along. We know definitively, we could prove to every single person in this country with publicly available evidence that this election was stolen. And it has nothing to do with Election Day. If we had to have an investigation because 12 Russian trolls posted memes on Pokemon Go and Facebook, and that allegedly influenced and potentially stole an election, what do you call it when the entirety of the mainstream media, tech organizations, academia, intel agencies, the entertainment industry, all combine to get behind one candidate? What do you call it when they censor the oldest newspaper in the country who's reporting stories critical of one of the candidates? Yet they're running any rumor, innuendo they can about the other candidate. It doesn't matter if it matters. If they stole votes on Election Day, that matters. And certainly proving that would be devastating to the agenda of the establishment and the globalists. Don't get me wrong. And Trump should fight this until the day he's out of office. He should fight it after he's out of office. They should always fight to prove this fraud if they have evidence that this fraud existed. However, understand this. If we don't correct what we see with these tech oligarchs, with the intel agencies being able to spy on a sitting president, spy on presidential campaigns, them working with the mainstream media, them working with the tech industry, I'm telling you, and people need to understand this, they won't need to steal one ballot in 2024. Not one. The propaganda will only get stronger. The more... It sounds conspiratorial. I'm telling you. The way deepfakes technology is going, they could make a candidate look and sound like they've said anything heinous in the future. And as long as the media repeats it uncritically, that's it. As long as the tech companies censor anyone that says, no, this isn't true, that's it. I don't know how to make it clear better than anyone. I'm not telling people what to focus on or anything like that. That's where my focus has been. That's where I'm going to continue to focus. I think one of the things I see is oftentimes people, like, let me give you an example. Hey, thanks so much, Paul. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the donation. Sorry I didn't able to see the chat until right now because I'm parked. But I got a couple minutes, like maybe 5 minutes. Like 9/11. I don't know what, like, let me be honest with you. When 9/11 happened, I was young, I was pissed, like most of the country, but I wasn't political at all. I was a senior in high school. But after I started to think about it, the big question I had was this. It wasn't even a conspiracy. I just said this. I was like, I remember watching movies like Red Dawn growing up, and I didn't live through the Cold War per se. I was born in 1984. So I was so young, it was irrelevant to me. But yeah, I've heard stories from people older than me, hiding under your desk when you heard, the nuclear bomb whistles and stuff like that. You see movies like Red Dawn. There was a fear that the Soviet Union was going to fly airplanes over this country and drop troops or drop bombs. That was a legitimate fear. How could it be in that environment, with a military that we built up around that, with the most secure building in the history of the world, the Pentagon, 3 planes hit, and still, after 3 planes hit, they were able to hit the most secure building? How could that be? And I just said, how could that be, and what have we done to change this? And you know what I was told? Conspiracy theorists, nut! My wife's here. She can come in. It doesn't matter. You might get to see my wife for a minute. She's probably tired of hearing from me. I'm finishing up here.
Clean your stuff.
I have over a dozen people watching, so.
So you don't want to hear my bit.
You can't swear!
Are you done?
No, I'm
I don't
still
want
on.
in there.
You're not in the shot.
I don't want in
They could hear you, though. You're not in the shot. I'm finishing up.
Okay.
Anyways, that was the point. And one of the things that was a problem is, I was talking about 9/11, right? The idea, you have legitimate questions.
Yes.
Like, why did this, how could we leave the Pentagon be hit like this? And the problem is, what happens is you got people that were like, no, the buildings were holograms. So then anytime a person tries to make a reasonable argument, they go, oh, you're one of those hologram people. You can see it in these debates I do. Have I ever once in any of my debates advocated, or comments on here, advocated violence? No. Have I advocated things like climate change not being real? Nope, never said that. All I said was, there is not a consensus on climate change on the things that matter, such as how bad is climate change? How long do we take to solve it? How bad will things get? What are the costs of the potential solutions? Those are the things that matter, and there is no consensus on that. Yet, every time I bring that up, what do people say? Oh, so you don't believe climate change is real? The reason this applies to the stealing of the election is there are people out there that are making claims that could very well be true. Again, let me stress this. It's the mainstream narrative that Epstein killed himself. That is the biggest garbage conspiracy I've ever heard. So I don't begrudge anyone for any quote-unquote conspiracy theory that, Paul says hi. And he donated $2, so.
Oh.
That'll pay for
Thanks.
chicken nuggets for the dogs on the way home. So all I'm saying is, like, I'm choosing to focus on what I could definitively prove. That's it. I'm not begrudging anyone that wants to talk about things that they think, Sidney Powell saying this, or there were watermarks on certain ballots. Maybe. That's not my area of expertise, And I know that I get crap from a lot of people that are Trump supporters because they're like, you're pessimistic. Of course he's going to win the election. I believe that the FBI is corrupt, the courts are corrupt. I don't think that this is going to make a difference. I don't. Even if the evidence is proven, the courts will just say no. That's my feeling. That was my feeling on Barr. Yeah, what's up?
Well, I just wanted to tell you how crazy you looked after you pulled in here doing your
Because I'm
video.
talking in the
Because you're
parking lot.
talking with your hands to no one. That guy's butt.
Yeah, you should pull up his pants.
Yeah.
Be glad you didn't get a look at that.
Oh, man, butt.
So anyways, I'm going to keep fighting. But right now, what I could prove is that we will never win an election again. And by we, I mean we the people. I don't even mean conservatives. I don't mean Republicans. I don't mean right-wingers. I mean the average person will never get a representative in a position of power that actually represents them as long as oligarchs control the system. It's that simple. They won't need to change ballots. They've literally convinced, some of my best friends in the world were Democrats that I met in college, that our big issue was, I was a Ron Paul Republican, they were Democrats, we were against the war. Now they're saying that I'm a crazy warmongering xenophobe because I want to pull troops out of these wars. So if they could convince those people of that, what do you think they can't convince a plurality of Americans? Whoever they want to win elections will win every time. That's the power that these tech monopolies have. That's the power that the mainstream media, the intel agents, the academia, we lost the culture war. And until we fight back against that, we're going to lose every time. It's that simple. So that's where I'm putting my efforts. That doesn't mean I begrudge anyone talking about Sidney Powell or anything like that. I understand people on both sides of that argument. I do. I hope she can present evidence. I hope that we all see it. But until I see it, I can't definitively say, oh, yeah, this is absolutely true. So, all right, my wife's here. I'm going to leave. We're going
Been
to...
here for hours, it seems like.
They're more fun than you.
Yeah.
So. All right, I will... I'm doing a video Friday night with Pete the Patriot. That'll be at 8 p.m. That'll be on his show. I'll put a little pre-video up with a link to that. And then I might do get back into my normal schedule tomorrow, depending on whether or not I have to work in the morning. So, all right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Paul, for the donations. I know I have to get in touch with you. I will soon. I've been incredibly busy, and this will be a tough week with Thanksgiving and everything. Not to announce my criminality, but yeah, I'm going to hang out with family. So that's what I'll be doing. So, all right. Thanks so much, everyone. And as always, have a good one. If I could hit the X here.
Yeah.
Fat thumb.
Get out of here.
Wife's going to take care of it.